Hello children, before I tell you about Barker as promised in the last video, I want you to join me in saying the secret words but with a smile on your face. I promise to love and protect all living things, especially plants, flowers and trees. When asked how Barker got his name, Uncle Twotrees told me that children suddenly arrive in Plant World and are given a name that suits their personality or named after the place they find them. Barker woke up in a plant world inside a dog kennel with two large Rottweiler dogs guarding the entrance and barking at anything that moved, including poor Barker. He remained there, exercising every day, preparing for the moment when he could make his escape to the safety of the building opposite. Sadly, there was no one around to tell him that dogs would never dream of harming a plant person. They only wanted him to come out and play. Unaware of this, he continued to exercise and sing loudly to block the sound of the barking. Then, one foggy morning at 3 a.m., he made a mad dash for the shed opposite. He travelled so fast that he didn't have time to stop at the shed door, but just kept going, smashing his way through as if it was made of custard. The whole shed, like Barker, still remains to this day and is now used as the entrance. He found himself in the storeroom where all the garden implements were kept and decided to make it his home. He began moving the heavy bags of compost and sawdust to make a bed for himself, then continued to exercise each and every day using the tools in the shed. To strengthen his leg muscles, he would pick up a spade and dig the stickiest bit of ground he could find. To stretch his arms and back muscles, he would take a hoe in one hand and a rake in the other and clear the weediest bit of rough ground he could find. To develop his shoulder muscles, he would take a pickaxe and break up old roads and buildings. No one can ever remember seeing him sitting down for more than a minute, and poor Delia Wren, who I had yet to meet, had to design special cups and deep plates that he could eat on the move without spilling anything. She hated doing it, as she was an expert on everything to do with food and nutrition, and knew that one should always sit comfortably when eating. You should never eat when standing up. Something to do with metabolism, she said, but no one quite knew what she meant. Barker soon became the head of the foreman of the garden centre, spending much of his time jogging between the rows of plants and shrubs, encouraging his fellow gardeners to work that little bit harder. Whatever they wanted, he would sprint back to the shed and fetch it. If one of them wanted a bag of compost, he would raise it above his head and run with it, arms fully stretched. He wouldn't avoid objects, but leap over them, and upon arrival do 10 leg press-ups before laying down the bag and splitting it open with one karate chop. On one occasion, a group of gardeners wanted many bags of compost, so he loaded them onto this enormous wheelbarrow, stacked so that high that he couldn't see in front of him. He asked young Widget if he could walk in front to clear the pathway of plant people and objects. Barker soon regretted asking him, as poor Widget arrived in Plant World to find himself squeezed between 3 dogs, all of whom had inquisitive fleas that were attracted to Widget's fresh, clean-tasting skin. From that moment on, he could never stay still for a moment, or keep his mind on what he was doing. He would often wander off in the middle of something to do something else. His whole life was one long procession of half-completed jobs. On this occasion, Widget, unbeknown to Barker, suddenly thought about food and went off to find some. Halfway along the path towards the roses, someone had left the spade lying right across the path. Barker by then was jogging with his heavy load when he hit the spade at speed, and up went the wheelbarrow and contents. To this day they still marvel at the speed he moved to catch the falling bags before they crushed the plants around him. Plant children refer to it as blur drive, as all he could see was this fuzzy shape running around the wheelbarrow, catching bags with his hands, head and even feet. Even Barker had to admit that was one exercise he never wanted to repeat and had to lie down and rest. When I met him for the first time that day, I was still sitting in the centre, utterly amazed at what was happening around me. Then all of a sudden, for some unknown reason, I jumped up with a start and found myself running to the office to order things. All I can remember was a loud voice in my head politely suggesting that I got off my backside and started doing something. An instruction I simply could not ignore, however hard I tried. From that moment on, whenever I met Mr. Barker, I immediately jumped to attention, ready to receive any orders he wished to give me. It is not that I am afraid of him, it's just his voice in my head overrules anything else I may be thinking of at the time. This applies to every plant person I know. Nobody complains or objects because they know whatever he asks of them, it's what they should be doing. It has to be said that there isn't a better person to be had when it comes to getting things done, and this neatly for organizing it, as I'll explain in the next video. Bye bye for now.